Welcome back to the Fighters Corner podcast for another episode. In today's epi, we recap the recent events in boxing, including the championship bout for the WBA, IBO, and IBF titles, Jarrett Hurd versus J-Rock, Julian Williams, which I can say, after watching that fight, in my book, is the fight of the year. I mean, it's only May with plenty of good fights on the horizon, but it was a pretty damn good fight. And it's worth the replay if you get the chance to watch it. J-Rock just went up a couple notches on my list of favorite fighters, and Jarrett Hurd is still up there too. So much respect for both of those fighters. So sit back, relax, share, hit like, and subscribe to the podcast. Thanks, guys, for listening.
I like to bet on the fights with my friends. Problem is, my friends are all broke, mostly because they bet against me. That's alright, I'm going to take my picks to BetDSI. With 20 years online, BetDSI has more deposit options than any other online sportsbook. They have fast, secure payouts, and when you use promo code Fighters Corner, one word, they're going to give you 100% sports cash bonus. Build a bigger bankroll quicker.
Also, please don't forget to subscribe, hit like, share, all because you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Radio Player, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, and the guy sitting next to you on the train is probably listening to us too. And if you can, show us your support by finding us on Patreon, where you can let us know how much you love us. And if you're a fan of boxing, jiu-jitsu, kumite, and even capoeira, go check out my guys at UCL MMA. These guys are the heavyweight champions of mixed martial arts shows. And if you think you're the next Johnny Lawrence, go to their website at uclmma.com, shoot them an email and tell them John sent you before asking their matchmaker that you want to defend your All-Valley Karate Championship versus one of their fighters. That's uclmma.com. I also want to thank our new Danish friends from Denmark, Malte Castro, who was kind enough to let us use his beats for this podcast. I've listened to his tracks, and this kid's pretty talented for being this young. If you like the track being played right now, go check out his music on Spotify, and you can also find Malte Castro on Instagram and Facebook. Go find this guy. It's pretty good music.
My name's Mike Davis. With me is John Garaski. On the phone is Miguel Iturrate. Captaining this ship is Jonah Williams. And this is the Fighters Corner podcast. Dude, was that good?
Perfect.
Was that good, dude?
Perfect. 10 out of 10.
Huh?
10 out of 10 picos.
It is the 13th of May, and we are talking boxing. Miguel Iturrate, let us have it.
Well, we're 5 days away from Deontay Wilder against Dominic Breazeale. You've got the WBC World Heavyweight title on the line in New York City. What more do you want?
Well, you know, they're offering us Breazeale, but like it's going to have to be one of those quick turnaround podcasts. So what I told John was maybe we ought to just talk to him as if he won, and then just put it up there, and then if he loses, we're like, yeah, he's got some issues going on.
Yeah, I think that Breazeale is actually a pretty tough opponent for him. I mean, other than the loss against Anthony Joshua,
he deserves to be there.
He's got a lot of KOs and TKOs on his record that I think, he does deserve to be there.
He does, yeah.
It's like we've said this plenty of times before in boxing. They don't do the best with matchmaking, and they keep fiddling around with these high-end level fighters boxing with what are maybe mid-level boxers, and as soon as one of those high-level boxers loses, it's like taking soup and throwing it into a ceiling fan.
You've just ruined someone's Christmas.
Yeah,
you're ruining kids' Christmas.
I mean, that's what it is. And now, now how far back does it push us to seeing what we really want to see? Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, well, he belongs there.
He does. He definitely does.
And anything can happen in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yeah, it's proven.
Yeah, you got a 260-pound guy trying to put his fist through your head. All he's got to do is connect one time.
Yep.
And I'm hoping Wilder doesn't lose for as a fan.
Yeah.
But
it's not gonna be good for the sport.
But this is not a walk-through opponent.
Oh, no way. No, wait. Wilder definitely has his hands full with Brazil. And Brazil's got the technique, he's got the speed, and he's got the power.
I got some interesting things about DAZN that I recently had heard. And I know it's kind of off topic now.
You know, I've looked up some things too, and a lot of things that they can tell the public can be fabricated, and there's no one that can call them out on it.
Well, I can. I can call them out on it.
All they can do is they can tell you how many subscribers there are, and that's it.
Okay, I'm gonna call them out on it. All right, so this is what I'm gonna call you out. Okay, ONE FC is an MMA organization. We're doing boxing talk. They send it's a free app, so you get to watch much ONE FC as you want, and the content that they provide. It's annoying how many times I get dinged throughout the day with new content from ONE FC.
From ONE FC, yeah.
The only way you get pushed through content through DAZN is if you physically go into their app, go to like your favorites, bookmark what it is you're looking for.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't even know an event is on.
Yeah. That's tough.
Tough. I think they're going to be exposed probably in about 9 months to a year.
Yeah, they have some work that they have to do, you know, and I still...
Man, you just fronted $250 million to a boxing
Yeah,
guy.
that should give you a good head start, right?
Yeah, you think? Like, you'd be sitting here, I mean, you should be living,
Yeah.
you know, at the... you should be living at work.
Yeah, well, going back to like what their subscriber count is and what they told everybody, they said for the Canelo fight, I think, and I could be wrong, Miguel, you might have more clarification on this, but I think they said they had like 1.2 million people watching that.
That's pretty good.
That's what they're saying, but they can't prove it.
Might be. Oh, so every subscriber for DAZN. Yeah, I mean, it could be their entire...
they only have 600,000 subscribers, so that's all they can
But
tell
they've
you.
only got 1.2 million likes on Facebook.
Yeah. So that's all they can say that they.
So they're not even purchasing. There's no customer acquisition going on.
So even if 500,000 people or even 400,000 people watched that Canelo fight.
So essentially, what they're saying is this bar had it, and we're kind of guessing, dude, I ain't got time for that shit.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
that'll trickle into contract negotiations for everybody, all these major organizations that are starting to leak into this subscribed service.
Dude, it is right now is kind of like the .com boom for fight apps.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I'm not sure I'm too happy with that either.
Well, I mean, how did the .com boom end?
Yeah.
You know? So, what are the odds on that fight? I'm sorry, we got off topic. Let's circle back. What are the odds on this upcoming fight, Miguel?
Do you want to talk now or you want to save it for the end of the show?
No, go ahead.
I'm kind of interested now.
Okay. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you guys said. I think Brazil is, for Wilder, a challenger that is probably not getting the respect he deserves at the books. Wilder, a minus 900 favorite. Brazil, a plus 600. The over-under is set at 9.5. We already have an over-under number there.
Well,
and Wilder expected to get the job done under 9.5. He's at minus 275. The over is at plus 235. So
yeah, if he's going to do it, it's going to be under 9 rounds. That's for sure. However, he hasn't shown himself to be a disciplined boxer yet.
Wilder. He's still got that brawler mentality.
He got exposed by Ortiz.
Fury, I think, did a little bit of a better job.
You think Fury did a better job? Mm-hmm. Fury's twice the fighter of Ortiz, and Ortiz exposed him. Now, you can say I was sick, I wasn't feeling well. Ortiz deserved the payday.
Yeah.
You can say all those little fancy things you want. Mm-hmm. He got exposed.
Yeah.
And it was because he wasn't disciplined.
Yeah.
He's not a disciplined boxer.
No.
And you take a prime Riddick Bowe and you put him in this era, he pieces Wilder up.
Yeah. It's hard for me to agree with you on that, but I am.
How can you not?
Right, I know.
It's a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
We're Deontay Wilder fans here.
Yeah, 100%.
Riddick Bowe pieces him up.
A guy who's, and that's why Joshua, very, very calculating, very, very disciplined. He's going to give, or he could give, Deontay Wilder plenty of problems if they ever meet. So, in Russia, when there is no drug testing.
Miguel, I haven't really been paying attention to the undercard on that fight other than the main event. Who's on the undercard? Anybody of note?
The support fighter is Gary Russell Jr. He's defending his WBC featherweight world title against Kiko Martinez of Spain. Martinez, a little bit of a retread. We've seen him fight Luis Santa Cruz, and he also spent a couple of fights in England pursuing a world title. He has held a world championship, but he's a few years down the line from that. Gary Russell, from a fighting family, obviously. Gary Russell Jr., the world champion. A couple of his brothers, Antonio and Antoine Russell, on the undercard. Overall, it looks like they got about 9 live fights at the Barclays Center. It's always a home landing for the Premier Boxing Champions.
Yeah, I'm a fan of PBC. Anyone that says they're not a fan of PBC, man, those are fighting.
I want you to try to disagree with me on this next statement. Out of the big major 3 organizations that are putting together boxing fights, Top Rank, DAZN, and PBC is
smoking them
by far putting on the best fights, and it actually reflects on what happened this past weekend.
What about De La Hoya?
Golden Boy too. I mean, Golden Boy sort of they're okay, but PBC is in a realm of their own. PBC, what they did. Think about this past weekend, Miguel. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. J-Rock versus Jarrett Hurd. In my books,
absolutely,
fight of the year 100%. Candidate. 100%. Fight of the year candidate.
Those first 3 rounds were sick.
Dude, the entire 12 rounds were incredible. I mean, it was going back and forth, and I just loved it, man. It was such a great fight to watch, and Jarrett Hurd is no joke. Jarrett Hurd is no joke, and J-Rock, he went into toe-to-toe with him, and he beat him.
Wow. Here's the thing with J-Rock. Okay. Well, let's really break down this fight outside of the ring. Jarrett Hurd is, what is he, 28?
I think so, yeah.
And he still lives in his parents' house.
I respect that.
I do, too.
It's awesome.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
100%. So essentially, you got this dude that's a bad boy.
Yeah.
That's a bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
And any little distractions that life can throw at you. Here, I coach high school boxing, okay? I'm there a couple times a week. Do you know what the biggest distraction for a high school stud athlete is? A girlfriend.
Yep.
Okay. So, essentially, once you get older and you get more money, you tend to figure out there's more and more distractions in life. Yeah. You get a guy that's 28 years old. That's
making millions.
Making tens of millions. That's sitting here going, you know what, man? I got to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sit at home with my parents, and any little BS that I might have going on, the little fringe things are going to be eliminated.
Yeah.
I respect Jarrett Hurd. And you know, man, he wears that title proudly.
Yeah.
I love my parents. He does. He loves his parents.
Yeah.
You know, how many pro athletes are coming out going, yeah, I live at home with my mom and dad. I love them to death, man. I am today who I am because of what they have allowed me to be.
Right.
You know, you don't see that. That guy's a role model.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you got J-Rock. The guy was homeless at the age of 13.
Incredible, huh?
Okay. And at the age of 13, he dug deep inside of him and figured out. Let me tell you something, man. When you look at a guy like J-Rock, he looks like he's from prison.
Yeah.
Okay. He looks like I know what an inmate looks like. He looks like one of them. And I'm not saying, is the way his gender, he's this, he's that. No. The way he handles himself and that hardness that life has put on him and made him endure and the bullshit that he had to go through in life, it puts you in a different place mentally.
Yeah.
And that guy, at the age of 13, rather than being a victim of the system, which I'm sure he is a victim of the system and has got some issues in his past that, he may have just been walking down the street at the wrong time and hassled just because of who he was. That guy dug down deep, became a professional boxer. Man, anybody can do something when someone's giving you money.
Yeah.
When someone's got their hand out and someone's filling that thing with cash, you can be somebody.
Yeah.
But when you got nothing in your hand and you make something of it,
that's
movies,
tenfold. Oh, yeah.
That's what movies are made of. And what J-Rock did in that fight, essentially was the culmination of a movie.
Yeah.
He figured out, I mean, he's got 2 losses. He's been knocked out twice.
I think he's got one.
He's got 1 loss?
Yep.
No, one in a draw.
One in a draw.
Okay. That's not correct. Let me continue. So he got knocked out 1 time, right?
Okay. Yep.
And I believe in this fight, one, he put it on him. Like, he went after him like it was just, he went after him.
Yeah.
And he didn't back down. He wasn't playing patty cake. He wasn't jousting. He figured he could beat him just by trying to break him.
Mm-hmm. And he did.
And he did.
He did.
And whatever it is, whatever place he went to pull himself off of the street at the age of 13, he went back there, found it, and brought it into that fight.
Yeah.
When someone's homeless at the age of 13 and they're not in prison, and you got to go to battle with them, whether it's through mentally or physically, that's a formidable opponent.
Yeah.
That's a survivor.
Yep.
That's the true mettle of a human being.
Yeah.
Is how they bounce back from adversity.
It's hard not to respect that guy, man. It's so it's what he did, and you know what too. Like,
it would
after
bring a tear to my eye to interview him in person,
dude. After the fight was over, he looked into the camera and he started bawling.
Dude, you didn't.
I'm not gonna. I mean, it was
You
emotional.
didn't get emotional?
It wasn't. It was emotional watching him do that.
Am I the only man that got caught up in his feelings?
No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
I didn't cry either. I didn't cry either.
But like, it was a feel good moment to watch him.
Jonah, did you cry at the end of that?
I'm definitely not crying right now. I'm thinking about it.
Okay. I'm there.
I mean, but like, just watching him endure what he did, go through the fight that he did, and dude, and Jarrett Hurt's no punk. You know what I mean? It's not like he went to the top of the mountain.
Dude, Jarrett Hurt is living in a house with his parents to keep him away from distractions, to keep that title around his waist. You want to talk about sacrifices?
Yeah.
You want to talk? Be 28 years old with $10 million in the bank and live at your parents' house.
Yeah.
That's sacrifice.
Yeah. No, yeah, Jarrett Hurt definitely legit. And what
You
J-Rock
got 2
did,
dudes taking abnormal steps in order to ensure that they're champions, and they met on free TV.
yeah, PBC.
Think about that.
PBC. That was a pay-per-view quality fight.
100%.
And we
Take
got it for
my
free.
money.
Yeah, and we got it for free.
DAZN, I would have subscribed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but it was an incredible bout. And when it was over with, man, I honestly think we should do a show at the end of the year.
I friggin' cried. I was proud of him.
Yeah.
Like, from a human perspective, I was proud of him.
Yeah.
You know? Like, how many times can you sit here? I can get into it, but I won't, man.
So let's look at his loss.
Okay.
Jermall Charlo.
That's your dude. This guy loves
Not
the Charlo.
not
brothers.
Jermell, who's going up against Tony Harrison, is Jermell or
This guy
Jamal.
loves the Charlo brothers.
So Jermell has got Tony Harrison coming up real shortly, and I think in June. And J-Rock reaches out to Tony Harrison and says, "Hey, man, you do business versus the Charlo, and let's meet up sometime in the fall." So he's already pretty much, calling out who he wants next. And it's not even a Charlo brother. He doesn't even want that rematch back.
He's got the makings of a Bernard Hopkins. Mm-hmm. Did you get that feel as well? But just more active.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, the way he handles himself, his longevity, the shape he was in.
Yep.
I think the habits that get associated with fighters, in between bouts, I think that guy's walking a tightrope, man. I think he's watching his diet. I mean, he even said, "Man, I'm doing 2-a-days, man. Mm-hmm. I'm doing 2-a-days." He's like, first time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Take it serious, man.
Man. Made me proud.
Yeah.
Like, as a human being,
yeah,
it made me proud. Mm-hmm. Think about that rematch. It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
That rematch is going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Heard's got to earn it, but...
You don't think he can?
He will.
Yeah, you're right.
He will.
Yes, he will. Mm-hmm. Right now, man, something happened to him that he hasn't experienced in years.
Got knocked down for the first time in a long time.
A long time. Took an L.
Yep.
Yeah. That's intense. What else you got, Miguel?
All right, this last weekend we also had, since we're doing a wrap-up, we also had a couple of world title rematches over on ESPN. You had Francisco Vargas taking on Miguel Burchelt at super featherweight, and you had at super bantamweight Emmanuel Navarrete taking on Isaac Dogbo. And both are rematches, and both guys that won the first one won the second one. So take it away.
What was kind of crazy was the Dogbo Navarrete fight. That the original fight was a PBC fight.
Okay.
And Dogbo is a guy that has been hypnotized by his father and his training camp. I mean, it's obnoxious, but they have hypnotized him into believing he is the greatest.
Yeah.
You know what, though? That dude could fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he went into that first fight and just... Navarrete was over his head in that first fight. But after about the third round, Navarrete's corner got to him. It talked some sense into him. He started getting Dogbo at the end of his punches, started pulling ahead, and ended up winning the fight. But Dogbo, for sure, was just a wolf that just kind of got, the antelope, or, the deer were able to kind of keep the wolf away.
Yeah.
So in this rematch, I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of want to see the adjustments. I mean, Dogbo's father's a phenomenal trainer, coming all the way from Africa. It's like I'm a fan of African fighters, and I kind of want to see what's going on. And essentially, what you saw was Navarrete finding an additional gear.
Mm-hmm.
And in boxing, there's levels and layers. And what Navarrete showed was they say that when you win a title, the fighter becomes 30% better. And it's not because, they won a title, now they're better. No. That fighter now believes in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And just that sheer instinct of belief, that fighter becomes better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That Navarrete, he hasn't peaked yet. And the beating he put on Dogbo, man, I respect Dogbo, but he had some years taken off of his life.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Miguel, what did you think of that fight?
Well, what I know, Navarrete is going to be a handful for anyone at super bantamweight. He's too tall for most guys in that weight class, and he knows how to use his height, as you said. He made the adjustments, fighting Dogbo, who was always going to be shorter early on in the first fight, and Dogbo's basically had the same thing. What jumps out at me is that Navarrete, when you get a rematch, if you can improve on your performance from the first time, you're showing me something. And he went to the unanimous decision the first time, and he actually stopped Dogbo in round 12 this one to send a little bit of a message, I think, and he's ready for anyone on super bantamweight.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see where his career arc is going to be at, because his confidence level, it's even higher now. Yeah,
That's dangerous.
Yeah. He's a tough kid, man. He's definitely young tough kid. So, what else you got, Miguel?
And the main event there was Francisco Vargas taking on Miguel Burchelt. The two met back in January of 2017 with Burchelt winning the belt from Vargas. Vargas doing the work going 4-0 since then to get the rematch, and he got stopped in the sixth. So Burchelt's also improving on his performance from the first time out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you imagine just when you lose, it hurts. Yeah, there's a crash there.
Yeah.
You dedicate yourself, you get 4 fights, to get that into that spot again.
Yeah.
You kind of got to call it a day, man.
Yep.
You've made some cash. That's the hard thing about combat sports. Like, it tells you
when you're done.
When you're done, and it's not an easy position to be in, but at the end of the day, man, go enjoy life.
Yeah.
It's been one, man. Thank you for the memories.
Yeah,
it's time to go.
Miguel, on the comedy side of boxing, let's take back and look at this. Do you think boxing's biggest enemy is tallying up a scorecard for a boxing bout?
Here we go.
You know where this is going, right?
That should be the top 10. Yeah, the biggest boxing scorecard errors. Oh, dude, that's John. That's a fantastic topic. We're gonna have to do that. Well, we're just kind of getting our feet wet with like YouTube and stuff like that. Give us a minute. We're gonna produce some content. So go ahead, John. Go ahead.
So Miguel, all right. I mean, like, we're talking about obviously the Matt Korobov fight versus Emmanuel Alim. Okay, and
Okay.
we'll lay it out for someone who hasn't watched or didn't hear the results. But basically, the fight went to a decision, and the decision read that it was a majority decision in favor of Korobov winning.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then what happened, John?
Well,
first off, they interview him as if he won.
Oh yeah, yeah. They interviewed him. Like the interviews got
and
they were interviewing about what's next. Talk about the fight, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden, hey, we made a mistake on the scorecards. It's not a majority decision; it's a majority draw. Yeah. And now everyone's throwing their hands up in the air, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, very very embarrassing. But like, it's not the first time we've seen it though, right?
It's one of those strong arguments for either 11 or 13 round boxing fights.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
And it's they're not going to add a round. They're going to subtract a round.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have an issue with that. I love my boxing.
Mm-hmm.
I love 12 rounds. More boxing, the better. But if it means that 11th round's a little more intense in order to kind of make it, I mean, how are you going to score a fight with an even number of rounds?
Right.
Like either go 11 rounds or 13. I mean, here, problem solved.
Mm-hmm.
Am I off on that, Miguel? I mean, to me, that's like...
No, I think the bottom line is there's room for a strong discussion of many types of adjustments. For example, a different one on a different level, women should box 3-round fights as well. They want to talk about equal pay. If they're not fighting the same, you can't even have that conversation. On this other side... I would go right back to 15-round fights. I think when they were banned or stopped, there were many different factors. One of the factors that was in play at the time was broadcasting TV, so that had its influence. I'm not saying the medical end, wasn't a deciding factor, that they were trying to, have the safety of the fighters in mind, at least in a rudimentary aspect. I think that the times have changed. And I think that, that we see far too many 12-round fights where neither guy looks like he's got beat up. You know what I mean? And not that, it is, at the end of the day, that's what the sport is about. It is a sport of, it's a blood sport. It is a sport. You know what I mean? And it's like if both guys at the end of 12 rounds have been playing patty cakes, you have had a lot of dissatisfied people there. 15 rounds, there did seem to be a threshold there where, there were very few 15-round fights where both guys didn't seem to have given their all. Mm-hmm. So, I think with nutrition and things like that, and now with maybe free-flowing things like streaming and things where you're not tied to a TV schedule and things like that, there may be room for a discussion of having 15-round fights at the elite level again.
But also, too, think about all the boring 12-round fights that you've seen in your life. Now adding another 3 rounds to that.
That's more booing.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
And it allows me a few more trips to the refrigerator and throw things at my TV.
It could be, but I'm hoping, and the idea is when they went from 15 to 12 rounds that it was this way. It's like, and I don't want to talk about a subject I don't know much about, but when they talk about marathoners will tell you there's a 20-mile wall. And if you can overcome that wall, then you can maybe finish the fight and stuff. But if not, there's a lot of people who stop right at around 20. There's a wall, the marathon wall. Hopefully 12 rounds is that, and that if you're there and you get to the 13th, 14th, and 15th round, it's because you've been elite, you've showed the 12 rounds before, and you're already there. These are now the championship rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, how many boring UFC fights have you seen in the 3 rounds now? You make them 5 rounds, and now you've got 5 boring rounds, right?
Yeah.
But the 4th and 5th round have led to a lot of special fights in the UFC. So I'm hoping to have that effect, But, you're with the wide variety of boxing and the other factors such as judging and things like that, and promotions. The fight. The bottom line is the fight that you're talking about went down in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, Arizona is, to my knowledge, there is a boxing scene down there and stuff like that, but it is not an elite boxing scene. It's not Vegas. It's not New Jersey or California or any of the big commissions, and that always has a little bit of an effect. The promotions now, what you can do with the zone and stuff like that. Say, hey, there's a great building in Tucson we can go to, and now you've booked the building. Now you've got a TV show and everything, and you're there. Now you've got a boxing commission that may not be world class. They may be more of a regional boxing commission, which is fine, but you get things like, oh, we fucked up and can't add cards.
Yeah. I don't know why they said, like you said, it's got to be something with the TV, with the 12 rounds. It's kind of like when you kick a ball out of bounds in soccer and you're, the novice like myself is like looking at the clock going, hey, man, the clock's still running. And they go, oh, yeah, no. They go to the stopwatch on the referee's wrist. I go, is there anybody monitoring that? Is there like a camera on his wrist? No. It's just, they arbitrarily decide how many more minutes or, they're going to put on the clock.
Yeah,
it's just
I think that's bullshit too.
Yeah, at some point you just got to go, hey, man, it's 2019.
Yeah.
We got this newfangled technology out there that can eliminate all these little arguments that people have. And, I think 12 rounds, either go 11 rounds or 13. Why wouldn't they just settle on 13 rounds? It's, I don't know, man. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So, so it was a blooper on a scorecard.
Some of the Latin commissions, in defense of some of the Latin boxing commissions now, for some of the Fed box belts and regional belts in Central and South America, you do 11-round fights.
Yeah. I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect it. It eliminates
the draw.
It eliminates this argument that we're having, this conversation right now. Like this conversation that we had just for 5 minutes, we'd be talking about something else.
I mean, you think about all the great fights that you've seen that should have went to a decision, ends up going to a draw.
Yeah, no.
Deontay Wilder and Fury.
I got time for that, man.
Triple G versus Canelo.
No,
I mean, I can go on if you want.
No. On. Yeah, no, for sure.
So,
yeah. Well, what else, Miguel?
Well, in terms of boxing, that's a wrap of what we had there. The big news is Deontay Wilder, obviously, next week coming up. On top of that, next week, the calendar also sees the World Boxing Super Series, and they are on DAZN. They got a card coming to us from Glasgow, Scotland, which has the continuation of their 140-pound tournament. The winner of Ivan Baranchik and Josh Taylor will be taking on Regis Prograis in the final. And
that's on DAZN?
That's
on DAZN, you said?
This is on DAZN out of Scotland, so it'll be Saturday afternoon for local listings and stuff.
Yeah,
and then the Bantamweight tournament continues, and you got Naoya Inoue there taking on Emmanuel Rodriguez, and the winner there has a date with Nonito Donaire.
So, Miguel, any interesting big announcements coming up for boxing?
In terms of matchmaking? Matches?
Well, I think that the big fight that you had announced this past weekend was the return of Manny Pacquiao to the world title scene and to U.S. pay-per-view as he faces Keith one-time Thurman.
Do you think Thurman deserves that fight? Because I have a hard time thinking that he does.
I think he did a year ago.
Well, before his injury, probably.
Yeah.
But what he showed me against Josecito Lopez, I
thought he looked bad, man. Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Let me ask you a question.
I thought he looked good against Sean Porter.
I think that now you're talking. Let me ask you a quick question. Who deserves it over Thurman?
Who deserves it, or who should be fighting Pacquiao?
Wait. Who deserves it? Either one.
I think.
I
think Mayweather should be fighting him in September. Does he deserve it? No, but I mean, if you look at that division, I think Sean Porter would have been a good one.
Sean Porter would be excellent. I struggle with this, and what I struggle with is, okay, the UFC this last weekend, Clay Guida fought BJ Penn. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got two guys that are, seasoned guys, one Hall of Famer, possibly two Hall of Famers fighting each other. The guys that you're sitting here saying, who do you think deserves to fight Manny Pacquiao? And when you say that, you're talking about a 40-year-old guy.
With a monster payday. That's what it is.
It's the payday.
It's the payday.
Okay, because Man, dude, it hurts me that Manny Pacquiao is still fighting. However, he's still fighting.
He still got it.
Like, he's still got it.
Yeah, he still got it.
But this new age of fighter that's kind of coming through, that's kind of ready to break through right now, they're friggin' savages, dude. Like, they're, this fight you just saw, that we talked about, like, those guys are legit. And it seems like combat sports now, on every level, you're looking at, like, people stepping up, and it's Manny Pacquiao is going to get starched eventually, and it's going to hurt me to see it, like with Mark.
Mark he's got to know when to stop. But the thing is, like, when he tells everybody he's done, and he goes out on top, like, well, I shouldn't say on top, but like at a high level, people are going to always be asking him until he's 55 years old, hey, man, when are you coming back? 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 When are you coming back?
Would you say he's one of the greatest fighters of all time, Miguel, Manny Pacquiao? Based on his longevity, career span, wins?
Yeah, no, I think he's a generational guy. I think that,
generational.
It's an argument I've had with other types of boxing people, too. It's like, is box office a Hall of Fame credential? Right, because it was in the case of Arturo Gatti, right? Because skill-wise, I'm not sure Gotti's a Hall of Famer, but when you count all the hype and everything that went into his career, he made it in, and a lot of people are happy with that too because it's a good. It's. I'm not saying the guy didn't deserve it, but I'm saying that that's the argument that people have had.
Yeah.
Right. So. With Pacquiao, I think that the box office is, aside from the fact that, he's closing in on 70 pro fights. So, that's something that's a little unusual for now, for this era.
Yeah.
He fought a lot in the Philippines and a lot, he has a lot of trilogies with a lot of Hall of Famers and stuff like that. There's no doubt you're talking about a generational talent there. And I think that the box office helps him. If you look at all-time boxing, Muhammad Ali is maybe, the greatest heavyweight of all time. But if you were to bake in box office, then that actually bolsters Jack Dempsey's spot as an all-time great because
the first $1 million gate.
The first $1 million gate. Building a stadium for to hold 30,000 people, just making it out of wood to sit the people to do a fight and still be able to bank and make your money on it
for one fight.
I mean, the stuff that went. No, they did it for his whole run of 6 or 7 fights that he did at the end of his career were all huge box office. There's a story that Gene Tunney, his opponent that beat him, that Tunney
the long count
made. In that fight, he made $990,000 for that fight, and because he was wealthy, he actually wrote Tex Rickard a check for $10K so that the guy would write him a check for $1 million. He wanted a check for $1 million. Very interesting stuff. But when you start carrying a box office and the attention of the nation, the coverage that boxing got in the old days, where they didn't have to really compete with basketball and football and things like that either. There is that. So Pacquiao has that. Pacquiao shuts down the Philippines when he fights.
The whole island. The whole island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
So go ahead.
I was gonna say, here's a little tidbit behind Floyd Mayweather as far as pay-per-view buys in the history of boxing. Manny Pacquiao's number 2.
Yeah.
That's
dude's a beast. Dude's a monster, man. And not only is he a monster,
and that may be changing. That's why this fight is very interesting to see because the game has changed. As Mike said, what if they say, okay, let's play a little game. Let's do J. Rock Williams rematch on the same day on free TV again, and let's see how their pay-per-view does. So it could get really interesting if boxing were to take it to that level in terms of promotion.
It's going to happen.
And even then, they're going to demand a high pay-per-view dollar because it's Pacquiao.
Yeah.
But you've got examples of people staying away from pay-per-view, and now because, if you're carrying ESPN Plus and the Zone and you're paying for Showtime on television and stuff like that, you're already investing in the combat sports and watching it and stuff like that, saving a couple of pay-per-views a year probably fancies a few guys who are paying, maybe $2,000 a year in total pay-per-views if you eat, 3 or 4 a month.
Yep.
Boxing, MMA, it could be a high number.
All right, well, Miguel, we answered who. I didn't really give a definitive answer. Who do you think deserves that fight?
I think the problem with Pacquiao now is that Pacquiao is going to be the one who decides that. So it's not like, hey, man, you got to fight whoever we tell you. He's going to say, no. He's not with Bob Arum anymore. He's back with his original people and from the Philippines and stuff, and they're going to have their own thoughts. I think what happens is Furman's undefeated. He's a former champion, and he's a guy that, with the time off and the fact that he didn't look good in his last outing, he looks more beatable than Sean Porter.
Oh, dude, Sean Porter's a monster.
Why did actually a person I think deserved that fight, and I know Manny Pacquiao wanted nothing to do with him.
Who's that?
Errol Spence Jr.
On, bro.
He would put the Philippines himself. He would put the Philippines on red alert status.
yeah.
I mean, like
he'd be jumping up and down on the island because they were so angry that they may have sank it.
Probably. No, but yeah, it's.
Well, they caused a tsunami. Earl Spence, pieced up Pacquiao. And,
Oh, dude. And I actually sort of feel sorry for Porter, but I don't know if he's going to be able to last. But I think he beats Thurman, too. But I don't think he would beat a guy like Earl Spence Jr. No. Earl Spence Jr.
I don't see Earl Spence Jr. losing for a while. He looks too good, man.
You know, one thing that really, really does piss me off, man, I think over the past week, they asked him, like, hey, man, would you fight Canelo Alvarez? And he said, yeah, I'd do it. But the thing is, like, he hasn't cleared out his division yet for that even to make sense. And plus, I think he'd have to move up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo? It's like I don't want to see that right now, man. I don't want to see. There's so much more that the division offers for both Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo. Don't have them meet up right now. Let them fight when they're in their upper 30s.
The thing is, like when you were talking about Garcia, you got an $8 million payday.
Yeah.
Essentially, these fighters are now going, well, you got $8 million for that loss? Man, I'd take a loss for $8 million. That's what's going on. No, that's the conversation that's taking place. That's what's taking. Hey, listen, I'm not saying I agree with it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you don't think Sean Porter was texting other individuals that he's probably going to be fighting, going, $8 million?
I'll take that L. I'll take that L all the way to the bank with a B.
Yeah. Interesting.
That L will turn into a B.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. For sure. It's an interesting time in combat sports, and as we've discussed, several times, there seems to be a gold rush for apps and things of that nature for fighting. And the one thing that interests me is just how it's going to play out and who's going to be the first to fold. I mean, DAZN is really, they're really, really just flexing. Mm-hmm. And they're flexing with money, thinking, well, the money's going to bring the people. It's kind of like the Floyd Mayweather effect. I'm not a really exciting boxer, but I throw money around, talk a lot of crazy stuff, wear flashy clothes. People are going to come watch me, even though the show is it's kind of mediocre. Mm-hmm. And you consider, he's the greatest defensive boxer of all time. Man, dude, you want to go watch someone, dodge punches without really throwing them? Man, go ahead. It ain't for me. I mean, it's not really my thing. You're having a house party at your place, I'll come over, but I'm not paying for that.
Yeah.
And something's gonna happen, dude. And it's gonna be one of those 3 a.m. hurry up, get over here. We gotta cut a podcast on us. We gotta be first.
Yeah.
I think when DAZN finally goes down, someone's gonna go to prison.
Yeah, and at that point, if you're Canelo Alvarez,
Miguel, is that an outrageous statement?
No, I mean, not. You never know. You never know how these things go down with all the big money and they borrow money. But it looks like I heard that they got re-upped and they got a little bit more in their war chest. Somebody's backing them and stuff like that. Yeah. They had some big. I mean, on the day of Canelo, earlier that day, we got Bellator from England. Those both broadcasts were put out and stuff like that. Yeah, every once in a while they have a flat weekend and you're watching, regional boxing from Italy or something like that. Yeah. But, overall, the price is right, which is what helps DAZN. But they've already taken the price and gone from $10 to $20 and stuff like that. But for right now, that's what gets them in the game. It is a good price tag for what they offer and for what they're delivering. Now, for example, this weekend, the World Boxing Super Series is out there. This is the Super Series is what gave us Alexander Usyk and also Callum Smith of England won the first two tournaments last year, and no one in the States saw them. Now here, we're getting a chance to see these tournaments, and you get a chance to see Naoya Inoue. Check most boxing top 10. Pound for pound list. Naoya Inoue is on those lists.
Yeah.
Where would we see him if he's fighting in Japan? All of a sudden, the zone's backing the World Boxing Super Series, and this kid is fighting in Scotland or in Ireland or on the island over there. He's coming out of his tournament, and you're getting to see something special.
Yeah.
The Josh Taylor end, as hyped as Regis Prograis is in the States as he has been at 140 pounds, and he's in the finals, to meet the winner of Baranchik and Josh Taylor, you're talking about Josh Taylor has every bit the hype Prograis has at home in England and possibly more. And Prograis versus Taylor, if you see that on the zone for $20, man, people would have paid $80 for that fight.
Yeah, if you're married and you've got kids, the zone is going to be a constant argument in your house because it's always going to be on. Mm-hmm. But if you're a single dude, man,
at some point someone's divorce papers are going to mention the zone.
right. Absolutely.
He loves the zone more than me.
Mm-hmm. That SOB, all he would do was watch that thing all day, all night. Honey, I know it's 2 a.m., but
yeah.
The zone. I thought it was an ethnic thing, and then I found out it was fighting.
Yeah, I thought it was like some Italian, right? Any odds coming up, Miguel? What do we have going, man?
Well, I was going to stick with the Deontay Wilder as the big talk, because as you mentioned, if you think Brazil has a chance at plus 600, that's $100 to win $600.
That's not a bad bet. That's not a bad bet. So, Miguel, what you're saying is you would go to betdsi.com and you'd put in promo code.
I know those guys.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do know those guys. And you would put in promo code. I'm sorry, John. What was that promo code again?
Fighters Corner.
What? And then what would happen, John?
You would get double your cash.
Now. So if I put just $1 in there, what would happen?
You'll get $2.
Dude, that's insane.
And that's free money.
That's crazy.
And if it's free, I'll take 3 from me.
That's like 2 Venom energy drinks.
Yeah, or a quarter of a gas tank. In
so
the
if I bet $1 on Brazil, that means I would win $6. Is that correct, Miguel?
Yep.
That's
and at this point, like you guys pointed out, if this fight was 2 years ago, the fight would probably be, Wilder favored maybe at minus 300 or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's gone through some hype and some build-up over the last couple of years. The bottom line is he's the only really known American heavyweight. Brazil doesn't move the radar really any more than Michael Hunter does or Andy Ruiz does or any one of those guys. But Brazil is an Olympian. He didn't do well in the Olympics, but he is an Olympian, which means he has amateur pedigree. Wilder won a bronze medal in the Olympics, but that came after an abbreviated amateur career. So Brazil's going to be confident in his pedigree. He's big and he's tall. He's going to look him in the eye, and most of Wilder's opponents have been shorter than him. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. If you can get him into a boxing match, one of the problems that Wilder has, too, is that he'll drop down and look for his big punch, which means low punch output.
That
which
drives
means, man,
me
you're
nuts.
gambling and you're gambling with the judges, man. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, he's trying to take his head off. I'll give him some credit for that. But he threw 9 punches. Right. Meanwhile, the other guy's been jabbing him, and hit him with 35 good, decent jabs and stuff like that. Man, that makes it hard to judge, and it's a big risk. But that's also in Brazil's favor that he can keep it in the neighborhood as long as he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
The 9.5 rounds is interesting to look at in the over-under because what you have is you have Anthony Joshua beating Brazil in the 9th. So he would like to see Wilder take longer than him to do it so he can say, hey, I did a better job with him.
All right, so
that's just, for the future.
So, John, do you see Deontay Wilder being a disciplined boxer in this fight?
Until he loses He ain't going to change his style.
No, he's not. And you know, with Mark Breland in his corner, you know Mark is losing his voice just in practice, yelling at him. And the guy's not listening.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
you hope. But like what Miguel pointed out, him dropping his hands, like when he starts to taste a little bit of blood.
from his hips.
All
you got to do is dig in the pocket and wait.
Someone who's very technical, like Anthony Joshua, he will find an opportunity like that, and he will lay him out. Yeah. Tyson Fury almost did that.
All you gotta do is just wait in the pocket. Wait in the pocket. Just taking information, and just it's gonna show itself.
Yeah. As much as we love Deontay Wilder, that's like the one thing that just drives me absolutely nuts when I'm watching him box, man. Yeah. Because I don't want to see him get hurt because of that. You know what I mean? That's gonna be what's gonna get him hurt.
It's such a simple thing. You know,
as soon as he tastes blood a little bit,
you know what you got to do. This. I mean, Mark Breland. This is what I want you to do, buddy.
Yeah, you know he's watching.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the tens of hundreds of people that watch this thing. Get a shock collar like that you'd throw on a dog, and every single time he even hits the heavy bag wrong, zap his ass.
Yeah,
yeah. It's the only way he's going to learn. And then what you do is you put it on his ankle during a fight. And just you got to keep zapping him, dude. You got to do it. You got to discipline Deontay. Because Deontay's out. He's a monster, dude.
He relies heavily on his athleticism.
If he loses, do you know how upset I'll be?
I would be too.
Man, that's my guy.
Yeah, I would be too, man.
Yeah, no.
If you think about it, he's one of the main reasons why
we're back in boxing. Yeah. We're having this podcast talking about obscure people fighting in Scotland because of Deontay Wilder.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Dude, 5 years ago, I remember making a phone call to him like, hey, you hear about this Deontay Wilder guy?
I went to work and I'm like, hey, man, you guys hear Deontay Wilder? Yeah, he's like, he's like it's almost as if somebody took like a piece of steel and sculpted it into like a person. Like, yeah, screw boxing. I'm like, no, you don't get it.
Yeah.
This is going to be the face of American boxing.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's just
All right, well, just watch. Just watch.
And now they're talking about him.
You know, so much so, in fact, that I remember watching a NCAA, the March Madness tournament that just happened. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I mentioned this on a podcast previously, but after the March Madness game was over, there's a camera on Deontay Wilder as he was giving interviews.
Incredible.
In boxing. When was the last time you seen that?
90s. A heavyweight boxer that's not the world champion, never.
He's not getting looked at.
Nah, not in front. Dude, how many eyes are on that TV?
Millions.
Tens of, like 30 million or something. I mean, it's crazy. It's Super Bowl numbers.
Yep.
And
that just shows you which way it's turning.
You get a little FaceTime there with your name underneath you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man, that's.
Yep.
What do they pay $5 million for 30 seconds of commercial time? For
probably.
Things of that nature.
Yeah, for the NCAA, I can see it being up there.
Miguel, you are the best.
Yes, sir.
You are the best.
The black belt.
I
the black belt of insiders for combat sports.
Yeah. We are not journalists here.
No.
Miguel, are you a journalist?
I played one on TV.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. You faked a bunch of articles to make ends meet. You're not a journalist, Miguel. You're an insider, buddy. I've read your articles. I mean, it was chunkfuls of information and bullet points, but you know the woos and ahs and oohs and ahs, they weren't there, Miguel. It was for dorks like me. So anyway, Miguel, you are the best. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to be talking to you next week. All right?
I want to thank Jonathan personally, too, for because I know that you didn't read my articles. I know Jonathan probably had to read them for you.
I went to an all-boys Catholic school, and I barely graduated for high school, so it's entirely possible. You might not be lying.
It's okay, Mike. I mean, it's okay. Reading's not your strong point.
Many things are not my strong point. That is just the tip of the iceberg. But we'll get into that on another podcast. Miguel, thanks for joining us, buddy. Always a pleasure, man.
Take care, bud. Take care. Thank you.
Take it easy, guys. Have fun.